Hi everybody, it's your ShopRite Wellness partner, Shelbi RD, and it is a busy time of year. You are going to holiday parties, you are getting gifts for the holidays, you have kids, you have concerts, there's a lot going on. So you need some quick meals, or at least some make-ahead meals that are going to fill you up and nourish you to keep you healthy and satisfied during the holidays. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So one thing that I love, we talk a lot in the summertime about make-ahead salads. You can totally still use that concept in the winter. What I do is I focus on grains as a base. Farro is one of my favorites. I love our Wholesome Pantry Farro. You can make a big bunch of it and it holds up really well for 5 days in the refrigerator, and it's going to hold on to whatever flavors and dressings without getting soggy, which we love. What I'm gonna add to that, along with some roasted pork tenderloin, is a nice sweet and hearty other ingredients that we're going to add into here so that you are covering all your bases as far as a nutrient dense side dish to go with your lean protein. So I have these envy apples here, and when it comes to apples, especially ones that I'm pairing with some savory flavors, I really want them to be nice and sweet. And the envy apples, they hit the right sweetness, but without being mealy, which is my big no-no. These are so crisp and so juicy, the envy apples. I've actually heard that they come above Honey Crisp, which I feel like a lot of people talk about, but the envy, they're called envy, I mean envious. All the other apples are jealous of them, right? So they're going to give us the perfect crunch and be a nice way to get fruit into our savory meal to go along, again, with that pork protein. So I'm just gonna cut up some of my apple. And what's great about this is people sometimes worry about putting apple into a salad because it's going to brown, but because of the lemon juice in the dressing that I'm using, it's going to keep the citrus from browning, and it's going to add a nice tartness. So it's kind of doing double duty. It's also gonna help us with one of our other produce items that's gonna go into this salad that we are actually not going to cook, which I think is gonna be a little bit surprising. So I'm just chopping this into little pieces. And so as not to bore you, I'll save these pieces as a snack for myself later. Obviously, anytime that you are chopping something and prepping a vegetable or a fruit, it's always a good opportunity if you don't need all of the ingredient to go in one recipe. It's nice to think of other ways to use it. So obviously something like fruit, when you're including it in a salad, it's a nice opportunity to maybe just save it as a snack, pair it with some peanut butter or some nuts. It's a great option. So I'm just tossing that into the farro. The other ingredient that is going to play nicely with our lemon-based dressing are Brussels sprouts. So when it comes to Brussels sprouts, absolutely roasting is a great way to do them during this time of year. But if you cut them nice and thin, this is called chiffonade if you want to get fancy, or essentially you're just shredding them. Because we're making them super thin, again, that lemon juice is going to break down and kind of tenderize the Brussels sprouts, so you don't actually have to cook them. They're going to get better as they sit in this grain-based salad, which again makes it so good for make-ahead. Just toss that in there. Look, we've got our holiday colors, we've got that red and green in there. I'm gonna add some dried cherries to that for a little bit of extra tartness. Add some carrots because it's winter time, we want that vitamin C, which you're also getting vitamin C from those envy apples as well. Very important this time of year. We wanna try to stay healthy as it gets colder, when we get busier and a little bit maybe more stressed. We wanna keep our immune systems healthy. So let's add in as much vitamin C as we can. Toss all of our ingredients around, and we're just going to add this lemon herb dressing. Remember, we are trying to save time. You don't have to make the dressing from scratch. You can if you want to, but there's plenty of options that you can find on the shelf at ShopRite. I would say just make sure that you're looking for a citrus-based one, so that again, it's going to help to keep the apple from browning and is going to tenderize those Brussels sprouts. So that took about 5 or so minutes to put this together. I cooked the farro ahead of time. Farro's nice because it's set it and forget it. I see on some of the packages it might say, to boil and then lower the heat down. Farro is really sturdy grain, so it actually can cook similar to pasta, where you can kind of just let it boil and let it sit. And what I love about our Wholesome Pantry one is that you get this beautiful texture in the grain where it's not mushy. It's that perfect pearled farro. So it's really hearty. And again, it's gonna hold up well as the base to your dressing. And then I was talking about pork earlier this week on Facebook. I did the pulled pork, which was set it and forget it in the slow cooker. And for this meal, I'm gonna pair it with some pork tenderloin. All we're gonna do for this, again, we're looking to save time. So I'm using some low sodium garlic and herb seasoning. You wanna get it all coated. We're gonna flip it. You could get also, just as an FYI, I always tell people this when they are cooking the pork tenderloin, whether before or after you cook it, just cut that piece off because that's the only part of the pork tenderloin that isn't going to be super duper tender. It's called the silver skin. I always remind people when I cook pork tenderloin to cut that off. And then you're going to roast this in the oven until it hits 145, then let it rest for 10 minutes. And you are good to go. So all you need to do if you make this ahead of time is cook up your protein, and then you could serve this delicious sweet and savory salad with your lean protein, and you have a hearty, healthy dinner, perfect for the busy holiday time. So hopefully this recipe is something that you will make. As always, you can visit ShopRite.com and go to our recipe shop for more recipes. Make sure to follow us for more cooking tips and like this video.